to lose in this set. They're supposed to lose. If they go down 0-4, who cares? Keo literally tweeted earlier today, if we just win one game, we're celebrating. They've already done that. So Crush Soda gets to play a little bit more loose into this set, knowing that they don't have to play for anything other than pride. Starburst has to reestablish themselves here. There's a little bit more pressure on them in this set.
And Brush, I mean, look at that, right? When you don't have to worry much about what's going on, and when you can just try to make and go for some of these individual plays. I mean, we saw Kill playing incredibly well in the last match versus Alliance Rogue, and while it might not have been enough there, we were also talking a little bit in the break about if Starburst even hesitates for a moment, Crush Soda could be the exact kind of team that'll capitalize on those moments.
And when you're a team that's been so underestimated for so long in this league, I mean, it's been 3 weeks now, I feel like, that Crush Soda has been the butt of some jokes. Like, when you're playing that loosely as a team and you're that frazzled as Starburst, there's a window of opportunity there that Crush Soda can totally take advantage of if Starburst isn't careful.
Well, we'll see what happens here. We've got the kicks in from here on out, folks, because both the second seeds from each group have met in the third place match and the first seeds will have coin flips to determine who gets to be the one banning and who gets to be the one ordering the modes. In this case, Starburst lost the coin flip and Crush Soda elected to strike away Splat Zones. Popgun, what do you think about that call?
Well, I mean, I think this is one of those scenarios where you would rather pick the order of the modes than ban one in particular. Yes, Crush Soda doesn't want to be playing on Splat Zones, but now Starburst gets to decide they get to do Rainmaker first, which was the last mode they won on, mind you, and they get to do Tower Control second. So Starburst gets their best two opportunities to get a win right off the bat. With Crush Soda, where they only have been getting wins on Clam Blitz, that would have to come in a third set if it even gets that far. So having the order of the sets in this scenario, way more important than banning one of them.
Worth noting today that both the teams entering Rainmaker 4-1 in just the regular season alone in terms of games. Brush, I'll send it to you briefly here. Who do you have for predictions?
I mean, it's hard to not pick Starburst. Like, we're saying Crush Soda has this opportunity in. Starburst, if they can wake up here, it's in 2-0 for them.
Popgun thoughts?
We've been waiting for Starburst to wake up for a long time now, but this is the one team that they should beat. If they lose this one, it's over.
All right, folks, I'm imagining Starburst might be able to pull it off. They've looked incredibly strong on Rainmaker. And to give us the call for this one, we're going to send it over to 9 and Zach for our third place match.
Oh, thank God I can finally stop dancing. Welcome, everybody, to the InkTV Resurgence League's playoff third place match. Zach, our analysts laid it out perfectly here. Starburst, I was wrong. They lost earlier here, and if they lose this one too, suddenly there's doubt cast upon all of this, but it's a good thing they get to go to Rainmaker to start it out.
Yeah, there was certainly a tidal wave effect, more so than a ripple effect from the loss Starburst suffered to AR. And now, on the opposite side, they've started to face even more scrutiny after this loss to Jackpot. Now, so this is going to be one of their best opportunities to try and return with some sort of vigor and vengeance here. As the analyst desk noted, Crush Soda kind of playing with house money here. They want to establish a great showing, and they did have some great games up against AR. So I'm really excited to see how they play here as we start on Rainmaker.
Yeah, we won't have to wait too long here, folks, because we are getting into it now. Again, the bronze medal at stake here. A spot on the podium does taste sweet. Oh, dear God. What? What in the world? Collusion! Collusion! This cannot have been picked without some sort of discussion in the background. Zach, we have Luna Blasters, we have L3D. We've got everything except what we expected.
You know what? This is a blessing, not a blessing in disguise. It's just a flat-out blessing to get to see, well, first of all, both Lunas go down almost immediately. And second, some of these weapons that we haven't gotten to see at all in the limelight here, especially the L3D we have here. We have even splatter scopes, which really have taken a backseat, not just to Splash-O-Matics, but to things like the E-Leader and the Z and F splatter scope. And to round it all out, as mentioned, the Luna Blaster, as well as the Nautilus, which has been one of the least used Splatlings in all of competitive play.
I mean, a flanking Splatling that isn't being piloted by Bagel here. Ice is the one on the Nautilus Splatling here. You can see absolutely everything here. Why not? 2 people going down to the Ink Vac as well. That's accumulated a total of 2 kills in the entirety of Splatoon up to this point, I would wager. And yet they are going to fight it out. That is the first checkpoint lost here in the first 60 seconds of the game here, as Goss charging forward with the Nautilus Splatling, going after Ice, gonna get a nice trade there as well. We might be able to clear this out too. There's of course a couple people stationed on that side. Thunder gonna opt to swing it over to this side, now swinging it back here. Biscuit takes a dive at the Rainmaker with the Luna Blaster of all weapons here. It's gonna be a Rainmaker down near the pedestal, but Zach, admittedly, this wasn't in any of my notes. All my prep work has gone to the wayside.
Well, and I love the idea there of Thunder sort of going to the right-hand side as we see the Ink Vac come out here from Wave, baiting out the Inks, or the Splat Bomb rather, and then moving back, having enough ink behind them to get away. And now we see Wave able to push a little bit further forward with that checkpoint now behind them, but Ice on that Nautilus is going to be able to clean them up. Watch out, Ice! Oh. There's the Hammer of Justice, and Thunder going to be able to pop the Rainmaker shield. They're going to try the throw, and I think it takes out Bagel. Brand's still in front of them, though. Are they able to get the pick there onto Brand? Thunder going to finally go down to Biscuit's Splat Bomb, but wow, what a sequence of events, and what a flank there from a very effective L3 mouse nose D push.
What a ludicrous sentence to be hearing as well. An incredible flank from the L3D. You just don't see it. Now again, the Luna Blasters are going to be fighting each other in the middle of the map. As these teams kind of jockeying here, I have to imagine some laughs being exchanged to what may just be a mutual voice chat at this point. The Rainmaker going to get stuck here in the corner, actually doing a decent job of diving around, but you're not going to get away from the newly buffed Ultra Stamp. Thunder moving forward on an absolute tear right now, trying to clean out Brand, is not able to. Brand remarkably holding position there as another member gets in on the defensive side here. Just over 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, you could argue actually that the worst part of that kit is the main weapon itself not being able to benefit from some main power-up or strength-up benefit, because you're going to need from full health more than that initial burst to get a full splat. As we see Thunder go down, Biscuit making use of that Zipcaster, now trying to get a pick. He's going to get assisted there by Brand, who trades out. And without the lead, they're going to let the Rainmaker sit a little bit longer. It is still shielded, so not going to disappear anytime soon. And one thing we haven't really discussed outside of the Ink Vac is the splatter scopes themselves. As mentioned, the anchor players have really taken the form more so of support players with those vanilla splashes, sometimes neo splashes, and now on a map like this one with those glass overhangs, finally getting an opportunity to shine. You can see Wave there in the forefront, helping to take out Bagel as well as the Luna Blaster. So with 1:20 left, it's going to be 3 down forced against Starburst by Crush Soda, and maybe a chance here from Wave and the team to extend their lead.
Yeah, exactly that, and they're going to be using here the Ink Vac as well. A rare situation where the Ink Vac is in position where it needed to be at the start. Firing it forward, you better watch out. That thing has a lot of range. They're firing it there, and down to 15 now. Goss still up in a position to maybe make this a little painful for Starburst as they try to work through. Bagel gonna miss the shot as well. I didn't even notice that Bagel was the one using the charger. Of all things, they've just swapped in every which way. It is backwards topsy-turvy with just 45 seconds left. They punted out a little bit here to try to give themselves some breathing room. They're gonna need a lot more than that. Bagel's need to hit a couple shots here to give them a chance. That is one. It is a wipeout, so Starburst will have the opportunity to at least make this a game. They have a long way to go here. They're going to opt to take it left here. Kyo already sharking forward here is going to take a direct dive at the Rainmaker, not able to clean it up. You have to imagine there's some quick respawn there, so should be back here. If Brand's Ultra Stamp can find a little value here, suddenly this might be a little threatening. That's another.
Yeah, that's certainly value there. They've gotten a 3-down situation, an actual full wipe out there. So if they can get this Rainmaker popped post-haste, they should be able to get going. They're going to have the Ink Vac as well to back them up. Here comes Brand walking across the unequal pathway, but even the Ink Vac is somehow not enough. The explosion comes out too late as they don't have time to pick up the Rainmaker. And from what looks like stopped at 21, it's going to be Starburst falling here to crush Soda on Rainmaker Undertow Spillway here in game 1.
And it looked as though at the very end there, after the wipeout, somebody must have just dropped a bomb right before they got taken out. The solo queue hero play did get the Rainmaker carrier, and that was just enough to slow them down. And at that point, the Ink Vac, we know one of the reasons why it hasn't been used as much in competitive play is it doesn't do as good of a job of protecting your carriers as you would like. You have to think there just a couple more steps would have swung the lead back the other way, but what a... I don't really know what word to use to describe those team comps the way that that was played, but we still got a pretty fun and competitive game out of it nonetheless.
Yeah, I had to get up from my desk and walk away, take a little bit of a breather after that one. I mean, genuinely seeing L3 Nelsonos D on my screen, I think gave me a little bit of a jump scare. Luna Blaster as well. If you look at websites like stat.inc, you'll see that they are constantly in the front of things like lowest paint and most deaths, and it's just very confusing to see that at one of the highest levels of the game that we've seen this year. But as a result of that, Crush Soda able to come away with an admittedly quite strong defense there. You know, you typically have difficulties getting through the ink back because of how much it could suck up. But if you're at just the right angle there, it can still be able to take out the Rainmaker carrier, who admittedly did a good job of sitting firmly in the path of said ink back. But now we'll move to Hagglefish Market, a more neutral, flat style map. We'll see if the actual compositions change at all, or if they're still going to go forward with, as you mentioned, that sort of mutually agreed upon silliness.
Yeah, maybe they're just in another universe right now. They have visioned far beyond what you or I could ever hope to comprehend. The ambition cannot be understated here, or they're pulling a fast one on us, and I would, if I were a betting man, probably wager on that. But it was interesting to note in that last game, Zach, we're so used to, again, the poking and quick safe play that a sloshing machine can bring on the attacking side. And then we're used to, of course, the Splash-O-Matic with all that it can do, but certainly the stabilization, where if you go 2 down, but one of your last couple is watching where the Rainmaker is going with a crab tank, it slows it down. And in that game, you kind of got to see they had to do it a bit more of an honest way, simply diving in and fighting. We're stalling here to speculate. Let's take a look and, oh, good God. Well, let's see if they both opted to go that way. Well, it's a little different. Only a little, but welcome to the bronze match, folks. Welcome to the bronze.
Well, some differences in opinion here as we see Thunder going over to the Blobber. Inkstorm, not an unusual special to see over on Rainmaker, but the actual main weapon itself certainly not getting much play. And speaking of certain weapons that are not getting play right now, the Super Chump, this has to be one of the first times I've actually seen it in action as being featured on that orange NZAP brand. Going to end up in no man's land using that 96 Galdeco, a weapon that has sort of caught a few primary competitive players' eyes, as Wave going to be picking up the Rainmaker first, is going to be escorted by a couple of weapons that love to distract and flank in that Octobrush, which will fall. However, Wave going to be getting a couple of picks and will comfortably be able to get atop the pedestal despite the wall and going down right after.
Yep, solidly done there, getting that so early. And now Goss actually on the very tail end of that Zipcaster. Probably could have gotten a couple more. Instead, everyone going to go down very quickly. Never even had the opportunity to make that jump. And now Ice is going to go on a crazy mission. Not going to find anybody. The other two are diving in on this side. Ice has to swing back the other way. Wave was flanking there, and Ice probably spending that entire Zipcast wondering where anybody was. Now it's going to be Thunder and Ice fighting it off here. The Blobber does have to retreat. Has to retreat very far back in order to avoid that Trizuka. Instead, now it appears that the defense will hold. They got people back just in time, fighting it on. And yeah, Ice, you're going to have a really hard time here. May opt to just go and grab it here, or they might opt to let it reset. It appears that nobody is interested in grabbing the Rainmaker there to keep it in that spot. I thought there might have been some opportunities. Instead, everybody in the map going to be fighting here in the alleyway. The Rainmaker resets. People are going down left and right in all odd portions of the screen. And Zach, it's pandemonium on the board.
Yeah, they're using the Zipcasters. I like the use of the Zipcaster there to get through the effective minefield that was the Super Chumps. They didn't do an incredible amount of damage, but if you do beat them up for extended periods of time and you're surrounded by them, it really can take you down without you expecting it. We see Thunder here yet again charging up this Inkstorm here. They're not going to be the one carrying the Rainmaker, so they're going to have to play their due diligence offensively to make sure that they can create a path. As Wave going to go ahead and push forward here about to 55. Goss, or Thunder actually going to use this opportunity to dodge that. Oh, we see the Rainmaker fall as well. I was going to say dodge out of the way of the Kraken, but it's actually the Kraken ending and then just going out of their way to try and get out of the action and the team fight. Now Wave will be the one to pick up the Rainmaker, but a nice splat there is actually going to stop the track in mid here. So Bagel kind of far removed from the action, was trying to get away from Kyo here, but Kyo using the superior standing mobility of that Octoburst to get away. And with just over 2 minutes left here, a 3-down situation forced against Starburst to see if Crush Soda can once again extend their lead.
Yep, another one goes down here. They'll extend it, and then some. Wave moving all the way around, bagging down to 12 points here with under 2 minutes left on the clock. Now Ice is going to have an opportunity to pop this. I think there's still one more. Yeah, it's going to be Thunder here on this Bloblobber, on what is probably Bloblobber's strongest mode as well. Trying to create some havoc here now. Biscuit trying to figure out where Kyo is going to land. Was not actually able to take out Kyo. I believe somebody else is able to come through. But that's going to be 2. Both of the frontliners going down to Thunder's Bloblobber, and another one going down. It's just Bran on the 96 gal who is trying above all else to at least hold this side and not get it all. This has to be brutal. Kyo just trying to have a good time running towards Bran here, and the RNG will favor as once again Thunder continues to work the farm. Now, just 1 minute left. Starburst really hasn't been able to fight off their side of the map. They're simply diving in and taking all kinds of fights. Kyo gonna run up again, try to keep the Rainmaker on this side. Get a point or two, but at this point, you can tell Starburst running forward, trying to fight their way out, using specials in mid and odd places here. They're simply trying to have a little fun and get themselves into the next game.
They're here for a good time, not a long time, as we see once again that back to out. Ice going to be picking up the Rainmaker, but just fall short of the checkpoint here. Is Kyo going to claim their life and run away with it. Bagel should have enough paint here to take this checkpoint down. They will. Going to also use the Trizuka and the Kraken Royale to see if they can get some kicks in the backline here. That should be one, and they will get the dash there onto Wave. Looking for anybody on the second. They're being beset by multiple bubbles here. One of the last remaining members alive, of course, Crush Soda, along with Kyo on that rush. Bran not quite close enough to another Royale, but at this point just trying to paint a path, and it's not quite enough. However, they will find one pick, but the important wipeout in the last 10 seconds for Crush Soda is going to get it. Nobody to jump to and no time left on the clock. So that will do it, not just for game 2, but for set 1, as Crush Soda, in rather crazy fashion here, using some weapons that we are not typically party to, takes game 2 here on Hagglefish and will move forward with a 1-0 set lead.
I believe it was a bomb there off the side of the Rainmaker shield from Kyo, who took out 2 or 3 players, and then Kyo immediately jumped off the side of the map after doing so. So, Zach, I have only one thing to say after that set, which is that, boy, oh boy, am I glad I'm not on the analyst desk. Have fun, you idiots, making sense of what that was there. Analysts, back over to you. Good luck.
I mean, look, Brush, we were talking a little bit on the break, but you can tell that these teams are really giving it their all in this third place match, really looking for that redemption storyline.
Yeah, and I mean, like, these weapons, last week we saw Crush Soda come out with some new stuff, and I think both these teams have recognized the only path forward is to keep experimenting. Play those super chumps. They know it works. They've had it on the drawing board. They've been playing it forever.
And look, a lot of these other things, Popgun, we've been kind of getting some illusions from the players that they might have pulled out at some point in the league. We talk a little bit about Biscuit on the Big Swig roller, Bagel, excuse me. And you even got Biscuit coming up with a carbon roller, trying to show that Volty isn't the only one that can play that weapon either.
Yeah, I don't know what Starburst is doing right now. Those two weapons clearly just don't work with each other, and that's why they're down 0-2. And again, I'm surprised that we haven't seen more super jump up to this point. Look what it's doing to Starburst. When those super jumps come in, they're totally lost. And by the way, you followed up with the Blob that does an excellent job of popping that Rainmaker. Crush Soda's just outplaying him right now. It's not even close.
I mean, you think about the Blob, you think about the Splatana Stamper, all, impacting that Rainmaker shield and the amount of object damage that can do. But of course, we'll be heading on to our next set in just a moment. Next up is tower control here, where we might see some completely other weapons end up getting picked. Probably not going to see a lot of Blobber here, but Brush, what are some of those things you thinking we'll see back?
Look, I mean, the Luna Blaster proved to be very strong. So I'd love to see some more Luna Blaster gameplay, especially on Inkblot, where all those tight corners around Plat and poking up to bats can make a huge difference.
Popgun, what are your thoughts here as we head into tower control? What kinds of weapons are we going to see? And really, who's going to come out on top?
I think Crush Soda rolls in this one. They're looking really good today. And not just the Luna Blaster. How about a Clash Blaster Neo? You can keep the Super Chump, and it's clearly a weapon people have been sleeping on. Kyo, the casuals champ, proving it today. Don't be surprised if we see Clash Blaster Neo come out here.
We'll see what kinds of weapons come out here as both these teams really looking to try to find that advantage over their opponents and cement their legacy in the InkTV Resurgence League playoffs. Nine and Zach, we'll toss it back out over to you.
You know, Zach, if you watched Past the Clams, the show based on Around the Horn that was a couple nights ago, you will know that for the bold predictions, they all had to give something that they went really bold in. And I know some of you are saying, oh, I had Jackpot beating Starburst. That was a bold... No. The actual bold prediction was the prediction that Popgun made when he said one of the teams is not going to show up for the third place match. Popgun, I just want to say next time you got to stand harder on your take. Because clearly both of the teams have opted not to show up for the third place match here. At least the iterations that we are used to. Zach, I just checked Twitter. Kyo is asking what weapon he should play. Somebody suggested Forge Pro, so we may see a little bit of that. So we'll talk about that weapon as we move into tower control.
Yeah, this is, the culmination of course, multiple weeks of work. We had the qualifiers, we had the 3 standard weeks of the tournament, and now going into the playoffs. Both of these teams' hopes of winning the league are dashed, of course. So for all intents and purposes, the main reason that they were fighting for is now out of their reach, which lends itself, I suppose, in this situation for them to sort of make the most of a substandard situation, of a suboptimal situation, if you will. Now, to your reference of the Forge Splattershot Pro, which pretty consistently lands in the lower echelons of many a competitive player's tier list, I've mentioned before that I think the kit is actually really interesting. It's got that suction bomb, which has that delayed but very large detonation and blast radius, and then of course the Booyah Bomb, which we've seen a lot of throughout some of the more popular weapons in the tournament, the Sloshing Machine being the primary example. I was certainly not expecting to see a couple of the weapons that we already saw. Some of them are like, I can sort of see where they're coming from. Splatterscope is super interesting. It just has ink vac, which drags it much further down. The main weapon itself is actually really nice. I've already talked a bit about the L3 and how it has that hammer, which has been buffed, and it has the burst bomb, which is one of the most optimal bombs you can get on an aggressive shooter like that. But the main weapon just doesn't have the kick, the panache that it did in Splatoon 1 and 2, and then the Luna Blaster. I mean, that is probably, if you said pick something as completely off the wall and out of competitive viability that you can, I would probably go with the vanilla Luna Blaster for multiple reasons.
Yeah, I mean, Luna Blaster, listen, I played it throughout the duration of Splatoon 2, and we know what it can do on tower control, okay? Nothing is surprising in that respect, and I do think that the Splat Bomb is a pretty good bomb for that weapon as well. Diving at the tower with the Zipcaster could be a little fun, too. So there's potential. We may be on a fool's errand right now trying to predict anything that these teams have. It would not surprise me if at some point someone gets asked to pick a weapon that they have yet to buy from Sheldon. That just seems like something that would be pretty likely, knowing some of these players and their thirst for victory here. They simply buy the weapons that are strong and leave the rest back onto the shelves as the inventory is full. But I will say these teams have done something quite incredible, which is they have made me excited to watch Inkblot Art Academy tower control, Zach. I did not think that anything could lift that from my cold, dead heart, but we have no idea what we're going to be seeing here at this point. We could see 4 chargers, 4 ballpoints, perhaps. That's one that I know has been making the rounds on the Twitter sphere to have a little fun as well. We also saw the Big Swig Roller, which is another weapon that I didn't think would happen. Although I guess that is probably a pretty decent main weapon. I know some people have said that if it gets a better kit, there's a real chance for that weapon to make some headway. But I suppose we'll have to be surprised. It's like a Jack-in-the-Box, truly.
Yeah, and I think per your hatred of the map and mode, I think regardless of the venue, the fact that we have no idea what's going to happen and the fact that so many possibilities exist that these teams are sort of casting aside all traditional roles and duties on the team and are going for being first in fun, as it were, since they can't get first in the InkTV Resurgence League. And yourself constantly with the ear to the ground. I'm super excited to see what they're actually going to bring in and if they go for that quad weapon strategy that you outlined.
All right, taking a look at it here. We have the Snipe Rider and some other things. We'll try to make sense of that. And actually, two of the weapons that Starburst are bringing are something that you might be a little used to, but there is the Forge Pro. We have the Zinc Mini. We have a gold arrow spray. We've got it all, Zach. It's madness once again. Already, the best weapon on the map is going to go down the quickest. Bagel moving forward with the undercover umbrella. It is... this is just pandemonium. This is just fun. This is silly. This is Splatoon.
I lied, by the way. I certainly would not want Undercover Umbrella. I'd much rather play Luna than the Undercover. That thing is pretty garbage. It is so difficult to use. It takes forever to get a splat. It is literally just hitting somebody with a wet paper towel and nothing more. But like you said, there are some decent weapons. One of them just went down, actually. The Swiffer actually is a fantastic main weapon. It does get outranged, however, by the Snipe Rider, who will pick up the assist there onto Bran. It's going to be the lead taken by Starburst. They're going to look to get to the second checkpoint here. Not traditionally, as far as the Snipe Rider, something that you would think would be super supportive in nature. It's kind of got a kit that's all over the place. It's like, okay, you can paint with the Sprinkler, you can support your team with the Tacticaler, and then you can get some parting shots on the enemy team, and it looks like they may have actually been able to take down Brand there, which, as you mentioned, Nine, and noted, is one of the main, actually meta-wise contenders that Crush Soda will have to deal with.
Yeah, Bagel immediately rushes forward and tries to attack the golden arrow spray. If you had that on the bingo card, I'm calling you a liar, but again, these teams, because they don't have some of the more traditional weapons that can stall and use their specials to open it up, you are seeing players kind of dive in and try to take some fights here that they think might be advantageous. That's simply how it has to work when you don't have the stability that some of these other stronger weapons do. And more than anything, the consistency as well. Thunder using, I would argue, a pretty underrated weapon here in the Zinc Mini. Splatling does take a slight tumble there, but this is a weapon that can do a pretty solid job of holding position and running up and supporting here. Incredible mobility. No moving around once again. Grabs a drink for good measure here. Even more mobility. Trying to run up here and does manage to get onto it and put that down as well. The Big Bubbler, another special we don't see a whole lot, but they did manage to hold on to the checkpoint. Maybe just another tick on the timer and that would have been done, but Starburst with, I guess, as close to we can call as a successful defense given the circumstances.
Well, and if your name is Sitzel, you're currently packing your trousers in glee at seeing the Zinc Mini come out. I mean, that thing has such a fun, reminiscent kit. It's got the toxicness and the big bubbler, which is great for tower control. You see it come out there as Ice is going to pop that Kraken Royale, trying to take down Wave, who is marked, but just can't make the jump. They're going to run out of time here, not able to find them, and their enemy was behind them all along. It's just going to be Bagel left. They're going to push it to 34 and actually get the pick there onto Gil, but unfortunately being beset by multiple members of Crush Soda, that's going to end the push there. So there's just over 2 minutes. Crush Soda still with plenty of time. They got some Booyah bombs to work with. One coming out from Gauze, taking down Biscuit there, and that thing charges it up so quickly, not just because of the fire rate of the main weapon, but because of the places on this map that you can stick the Sprinkler, and already another one coming out to affect the tower.
Yeah, it's stunning how quickly it builds up. Goss is already basically a third of the way now, halfway to building another one here. Bagel gonna go in immediately with the Reef Slider and go down as well. Now pinning over the top is Goss, and if Goss manages to somehow win this fight against the Splatana Stamper, there wasn't really anything else on that side, but Goss is gonna be warded away, and Ice will be able to come in and hold off with that 96 cal deco. So what looked to be a somewhat promising opening for Crush Soda now does go back the way of Starburst. Bram working around here, Bagel up there as well. They don't really have a great defensive resource. Ice not even going to use the Kraken and will pay dearly for it. There was certainly time to react there and pull that up. Instead, going to go back here. It appears that Bagel is fighting everybody else on that side. Man, an undercover umbrella on your bats is not something that I thought I would see today. They're going to continue to fight it out here. Biscuit is now back, is going to be able to put up the Big Bubbler as well, mark some more players. Bagel is still up there as points are now once again coming off here. It's just going to be Goss way back. Bagel going to dive in and take the fight and win the fight. It's a wipe out there. The final checkpoint is going to be clobbered through. The Wave going forward. Thunder fighting it. Ice trying to fight. Gets one and will take it to a wipeout and to what may be this set's only knockout as Starburst manages to hold it together. Zach, he looks perturbed at best and pensive at worst.
Yeah, I got to admit, I winced a little bit when Ice didn't pop that Kraken the first time. I thought, oh, surely this is going to lend itself to Crush Soda being able to make a comeback and a push there in overtime, potentially. It was a low number, of course, to get to, and eventually not needed as they got the knockout. But I thought, you have that invincibility special. Surely one of the reasons outside of fun and merriment that you're bringing it to tower control is to secure a checkpoint like that, to have it stay there even when things like a Booyah Bomb are coming at you, of which Crush Soda, I believe, had multiple there. So the decision not to use it ends up paying off. They're able to get back into the fight. They had about, of course, half their special retained from that death, and coming back was able to jump to a teammate, got it popped up on top of the sniper overlook, and then pushed into sort of more the spawn area of Crush Soda and made it work. I think the Reef Slider, also called the Weave Slider or the W Slider, if executed correctly, was able to get a pick there. Almost got two, to be honest, as there was a member just on the other side of that uninkable slope that did not go down. It didn't matter in the end. They were able to force a wipeout. Just one member left, I believe, even for Starburst on the tower to claim that one. And as you mentioned, Nine, with how crazy this one has been, I'm not sure whether this one will be the only knockout or not. It'll only depend on what the voices in the Twitterverse say that leads these teams to make their next picks.
Yeah, stunning there again. Some footage that you will never again see. So you can get hype this. At the top level of competitive Splatoon, an undercover Brella fighting a gold arrow spray. Again, folks, that is the first time I have seen that. I have spent hours dedicated my life to studying this game, and I've never seen that. So, while some of you may be bummed that this isn't quite what you were expecting, I hope you can still, alongside us, manage to find some beauty here in these thunderclouds as they continue to move forward and rain down upon us. Again, some matchups that you will probably never see again. You probably haven't seen before, and we did catch that one there on the replay, so a big thanks to production for that one. Zach, I feel as though anything we say at this point will be 50% hot air and 50% lip service. We are just as in the dark as our viewers right now.
Well, Nine, one thing you can take solace in is the fact that we are moving away from Inkblot Art Academy, moving to a different map at least, though retaining the same mode. It will be Sturgeon Shipyard that we'll be headed to next, a map and mode combination that does still ring true in the minds and hearts and memories of many Splatoon players. And taking a look at the weapons here, we are going to see another Brella, this time not the undercover. We're also going to see another couple of blasters here, this time the regular blaster / vanilla blaster. Pretty decent pick for tower control with the big bubbler at least. And on the opposite side of things for Biscuit, arguably the most favored rapid blaster kit in Splatoon 3, which is that rapid blaster deco.
Yeah, certainly the rapid blaster deco we saw Starburst use earlier when the chips were still on the table, but it's not Bran using it this time. It's going to be Biscuit moving over and Bran staying with the sword here. So diving right into that big bubbler right now, certainly trying to dive through and give these Brellas a problem here. Going to continue to fight now. Biscuit flying in to try to get some revenge. And now it does appear that the first checkpoint will go the other way. Wave does manage to close it out here. You know, it is interesting to note, Zach, that this is going to be, this Crush Soda composition is going to be very, very difficult to get off the tower once they start pushing. The problem is that their main weapons aren't good enough to start pushes in most respects. So we will see what happens. They do have two big bubblers, and they have a couple of Brellas that, of course, will be very difficult to nudge off of the tower, can hold position quite well. I think the big question at this point is just, are they ever going to get that opportunity?
Yeah, that double bubble composition certainly is annoying, but only once spun up. And the blaster in particular does have trouble actually getting the paint and turf required to make it to that special. Of course, the superior inking potential there of the Junior is not a problem, but when they're wiped out as Crush Soda has just been, and Bagel is allowed to just roll around in your spawn with those dually squelchers, it becomes much more of an issue. Kyo was able to resolve that with a pick on the Splatbrella, but it is not going to be enough. The double bubble comp gets popped there as Starburst with an emphatic knockout. Nine, you wondered if we would see another one, comes back and takes a second here, this time on Sturgeon Shipyard, to claim game 2 as well as the second set and send us to a third.
These players are just full of surprises, Zach. I didn't think we'd see another knockout, and I certainly didn't think we would see a double Splatbrella composition. A quicker set that time that our analysts will be able to go through. So we won't waste any time. We'll get it over to our analysts to make some sense of that. Couldn't have said it better myself, really. I mean, what more is there to say?
I mean, this is why we have the top minds of
Right.
the community here on that analyst desk for exactly that reason. The analysis they just provided, I don't think we'll ever hear something of that echelon ever again, Nine.
No, frankly, probably some of the best analysis that I've heard on this little game that we call Splatoon. I aim to elevate my own analysis and competitive discussion to that level as well. And unfortunately, I cannot do that because we're stuck on the caster desk and we have to keep talking. It's in our contracts. We have no hope. But we move on to Clam Blitz right now. Zach, and if those first couple of sets went relatively quickly, it's because you can get knockouts on those modes. Certainly tower control, but even Rainmaker a little bit more quickly than you can here. But given what these teams might bring out here in our third set on something like Clam Blitz, where you really need sustainability and stability, we might be in for a long one here in our final set.
I was going to say, more than even the map or mode, I'm kind of just mentally running through the list of weapons in my head to see what hasn't been picked yet so that I can see what comes out. A couple of ones that come to mind are the Gootuber, in that same vein, the Bamboo. I think the bows, probably the Tri-Stringer would probably be an interesting one to see, which, does have some competitive merits. We occasionally see the regular ink brush. Why not the ink brush Nouveau with that Ultra Stamp? We've already seen some nice things from the Ultra Stamp today. So lots and lots of options left on the board for both teams.
Yeah, I believe Range Blaster. How has Range Blaster not been picked here? Kyo is in the lobby and so is Biscuit. Like, come on, a Range Blaster has to come out at some point. Oh, man. I don't believe we've seen the Vanilla Splat Dualies out yet. Maybe they're just opposed to playing a crab tank weapon, which, I understand if that's the goal here. But the main weapon could be pretty fun, and you could just choose to never use your special, I suppose. Oh, what a Dynamo? Have we seen a Dynamo yet?
Certainly have not seen a Dynamo. We could even see the other Aerospray. I would love to see us complete the Aerospray duality here, but going over to the weapon compositions, let's see what actually gets brought out. We do complete one trilogy, which is the Brellas, seeing the Tenta Brella come out, joined by a couple of other weapons that we have seen thus far. We have seen the 96 and the Junior being rounded out by the Gluga Dualies, and on the opposite side of things, we're going to see the return of the Rapid Blaster Deco and another weapon that's very supportive in nature, the Splattershot Nova 9.
Oh, I would never have gotten to this one if you'd given me an hour to narrow down all the weapons here, but truly nothing is out of reach for these players here. A very coordinated and nice attack here by Starburst. I have to stop memeing for a moment and actually give them props the way that they use the more mid-range comp to slowly work their way in on their opponents. And now there could be another one here. That's going to be another wipeout. Do any of you have clams to continue this going? Biscuit lands. They will at least extend the timer somewhat. They're going to continue to extend it and move back into mid. Now, Ice actually has a Kraken here, could probably opt to move forward and attack. It appears that Brandon Bagel already doing that here. Gonna now try to move back. They're just leaving one player to go and grab all of these clams to try to end the game now. He's gonna dive forward. Another one goes down. Can they get a clam? Someone tossed it. Keep it open. Yes! The game is not yet done, Zach.
Yeah, Ice there with those Kraken Royale dances and the squid circus there, looking stylish like Billie Eilish there as they try to push forward here. They're going to go down. Basically a delayed wipe there. We do have one jump in though. Bran still going to be all the way in the back line. Nobody knows that he's there. Pepe laugh, don't tell them, as looking to get a pick onto Thunder potentially is not quite able to find one as they get a little bit rubber banded around the map. That's going to be the result of a DC on the side of Crush Soda. So just going to be be a couple members remaining there, whether that was intentional or not. It looks like another one goes down, and not just for temporary purposes. They're going to get DC'd as well. Will we see the Glugas, who went down as well, start to DC themselves? Either Kyo going to get a pick, not perturbed by the lack of teammates here, as Bagel dancing around them like a carousel. Kyo finally will get the pick and the squid bag to boot, and it's going to be a 2v4 from here on out, it looks like.
Oh my, yeah, if they opted to replay this one, I would just say that they are not reading the room. Not that it appears they're trying to anyway. Ice is gonna swim up here, can mercifully end this, and does, as we will now move on to what we believe will be another game. I don't know if Crush Soda's gonna be able to get their players back in time, but I mean, we got one more game here, 2 DCs. Almost every weapon in the game has been played at this point. They have different goals than you and I, Zach, and I think at a certain point it has to be respected.
You know what? You would think we'd be running out of weapons, but we've actually got a pretty sizable amount left. And there's a lot that I'm still excited to see. We haven't seen a sploosh yet. That is every solo queue player's dream, is to bring that sploosh into competitive play. In a similar vein, one of the Clash Blasters I think would be great to sort of round out that idea. And I want to come back to this idea of the 1v1 with the range blaster. I love the range blaster. I think it's an amazing main weapon. I know some folks love it for the wave breaker that it does currently have, but of course it does have a little bit of difficulty just getting around. It needs some support. That Splattershot Nova we just saw could be the one to provide that support. You never know, but lots and lots of weapons still remaining. I would still love to see the all of one class or even all of one weapon variety. I think that would be interesting. This is a very rare opportunity to see these things take place outside of, let's say, a gimmick tournament, for example. And, you know, especially if we only have one game left, why not savor the moment that these teams want to create for the audience?
Yeah, at this point, the showmanship has to be called into the spotlight here. And listen, if you really don't feel as though you have the competitive spirit, at least make it funny for everybody. I'm breaking one of my cardinal sins here, Zach, and I do have Twitch chat open. I've never seen Twitch chat this lively, this fun for a match where both teams are actually trying. So take that for what you will. Is it making a mockery of the moment? Perhaps, but clearly the audience is enjoying it. We haven't lost any viewership here, and I have to imagine the teams are having a good time as well. So perhaps there can be a little solace taken in all of this. And, you know, I will say it is odd to be in a situation where we're going into games and I don't have a pretty good idea of what's going to be picked. That just hasn't been the case here in Splatoon 3.
Yeah, I mean, we know the players. We just don't know the weapons. We can speculate on the map and mode, of course, and what that lends itself toward. We're going to Museum de Alfonsino for Game 2 here, and that, similar to Scorch Gorge, has that ramp leading up to a pretty closely located barrier. So things like that Kraken Royale that we've seen a couple of times now could be strong entry tools. We could also see some Booyah Bombs come out. That's typical of a map like this. You can get on top of that middle cylinder, that spinner, and fire one off with pretty easy range there. It's not too difficult to reach at all, but I would love to see some maybe unconventional ways that you get in, maybe a reef slider there, maybe holding the ground with an ultra stamp. We could see something like multiple big bubblers. I would love to see just like a Venn diagram of big bubblers placed in front of the barricade and just sit in them. But we're not going to have to wait long, Nine, as we're about to find out as we get into Game 2.
Yeah, there's also the huge reversal that they could do by playing real comps. That, I think, would surprise me more than anything. That's not going to be the case, actually. Taking a look, some copiously good weapons on both sides here, which is actually a little bit of a disappointment here. But the Dynamos have come out here. Bagel on one side, Wave on the other. Kyo going with the vanilla splatter shot here. We've come all the way back around from Crazy and gone right back to the middle. And actually, immediately, Crush Soda is going to go and attack one side here. And it appears that both sides actually just totally swapped each other's plats here. It's just the Dynamos fighting it out, and Wave has more ink, which means he's going to win the fight. And now, after a scary opening here, more players going down on their own sides of the map. I can't even tell who is spawning where at this point. This is just bizarre. This is madness. And it's going to be Crush Soda with the opening score.
Yeah, regardless of the ways that it took to get here, they are still very much playing the objective. We're also not seeing the Range Blaster 1v1 that we purported in the pregame, but the Dynamo 1v1 has certainly been interesting as Kyo are not going to be able to get out. One more Clam thrown in by Thunder before going down himself, and Biscuit going to be boosted by the Tactical, are going to be able to help force that wipeout. And now reclaiming some control here in mid, backed up by the Dynamo Roller. We also have that Splatoon Stamper, which has taken a little bit of a backseat to the Wiper, but is still quite viable as Biscuit just barely going to get that Wave Breaker down before going down himself. We see Zipcaster come out as well. Brand not able to make a use of at least the latter half of it, but is going to get a spotted out Thunder. And now Starburst doesn't really seem to be, at least with a 3-down situation there, in too much of a hurry to get anything going. They have been fully wiped, but it's effectively a 1v0 for Wave here, who holds down mid in earnest.
Yeah, Zach, I'll be frank with you here. If it wasn't for the pity claim sitting under one basket, I wouldn't know which side is which at this point. These teams forgoing the formality that is known as mid-control and instead opting to simply run towards their opponent's basket and fight it out on that side. Ice now going to go ahead and try, and actually does a pretty good job of corralling RNG. Not a problem here. Moves forward here, has a chance to get a couple, might be able to get a triple here, does get the wall down, and gets killed through the wall. All right, we are truly rewriting the history books today, folks.
Taking a look over at the corner here. Kale going to be using the Tri-Strike, not going to be able to take down Bagel, using the forward momentum and rolling of the Dynamo. Biscuit's going to be taken down in that Blaster v Blaster duel. And as Kyo and Goss come back, it's going to be Goss actually getting the pick onto Ice after a jump in, so doing a strong job of being ready with that alternative flick, that held down charge. Kyo once again back in the action in a very similar spot here. Biscuit typically taking up the spot that a Dynamo Roller would as their teammate has gone down. And speaking of Dynamos, they're going to get the 45-degree flick to take them out, but in the form of a trade with under 2.5 minutes left to go. Still, Starburst, mainly it seems, focusing on the fights themselves and not even worrying about trying to find any clams here, maybe just assuming that Crush Soda is going to be doing their job of playing the objective for them, which would, of course, send us forward. So that's going to be the pop on the barrier. It's going to be Thunder getting the inkjet, but being taken down quickly here by this Platana Stamper 9. And with a few clams thrown in past that penalty, Crush Soda going to extend their lead.
Yep, nicely done on that part here again, scoring and getting through their own penalty here. If Brand cleans this up here, there's an opportunity for a nice counter push. Is instead going to opt to use the Zipcaster and is just going straight for the basket here. Not sure if there was a target there or if Brand was really trying to be as much of a nuisance as possible. It may have done the job, though, as 2 players do go down. 2 players on Starburst, however, will also go down there. Ice going to try to get back around. That's going to be a rough landing. It does get through and actually ran into Goss. I don't even think Goss knew that Ice was there at that point, but thankfully Thunder was able to clean it up on the other side. Brand going to try to fight forward here. A couple sparks here, and again, the support coming through here. You know, I gotta say there's something to this Dynamo. I was not familiar with its game here, but the Dynamo with all of these other mid-range splash damage options actually making it pretty pesky here for Starburst to try to move forward.
Well, that Dynamo almost rolling over Thunder, and I forget how quickly that weapon, the Rapid Blaster, actually fires. Of course, not able to secure the pick from full HP, but we're going to see another DC there from Crush Soda. It's going to be a 3v4 as they retain the lead. Are they going to start disconnecting more and more? Will we be back down to a 2v4 as we were last time? For now, all 3 remaining players still on the board. They're going to be defending the area in front of their basket as Brand will fall. Now looking for more picks onto Ice, who does have a power claim in their possession. That's going to be a wipeout, and it's going to be the first break of the barrier here for Starburst. They have a couple of clams worth of follow-up 9, but with 20 seconds left to go, they're going to have to scramble to find some more. They do have 8 here. Will they be able to get a power clam? It's so far Crush Soda doing a decent job of defending.
I mean, this is a wipeout here with 10 seconds left. Could this game have ended any different? Crush Soda has a DC and still holds on. To be fair, they were very much outpacing Starburst for the majority of that match. As we move into game 3 of set number 3 in the most... I'm running out of words here, Zach. The most contrived of ways. And yet here we are, Crush Soda, Starburst duking it out. A bronze medal, which is clearly of vast importance to these teams, on the line. And if they replay, I am going to be quite irate. They cannot. You cannot continue to do this to us.
Yeah, if either of these teams or players were feeling particularly lugubrious heading into this set, hopefully they're having some fun going forward here. At least they're getting a little bit out of this 3rd place match. And to be fair, they seem to be milking it for all it's worth, taking us to set 3, going to game 3 of set 3, whether by design or by accident. Those DCs, I'm thinking perhaps not accidentals, especially the double there on Scorched Gorge. I'm wondering how many we'll see on game 3 here. And 9, you know, we don't often get to say this in a competitive game, but there is a decent chance that we could see a full team disconnect in the final game of this competitive set.
That's the cherry left on top of this incredible cosmopolitan of bad, crap, and duty, which is really what this has all been. An incredible cosmopolitan just needs the topping here at the very end. I wouldn't be stunned at all. We have seen, mind you, for those historians out there, in SOS, I forget which number it was, but after scoring the final down, or maybe it was Proving Grounds, scoring the final down on a tower control game with 2 seconds left in the game was functionally over. Goss just ended the battle at that point, completely closed it out. We may have been commentating it together, Zach, but I remember we just laughed. I had no words left to say at that point. It's true. That's the only thing that's left. And for every great show, it needs a fantastic finale. I'm curious to see what these players have cooked for us.
Well, one thing I do remember about that particular instance is that it certainly made the rounds on Twitter, that screenshot of Goss ending the battle, a new level of disrespect and a new ability gained in Splatoon 3 to be able to do that as a player. So certainly an option here as we enter what will definitively be our final map and mode combination for the 3rd place match. It truly is anyone's game at this point. If it would not at all surprise me, to be honest, if, as you mentioned, A, they were in the same VC, and B, they were using some sort of coin flip of their own to decide the winner of this final match, and how that resolves itself in the game itself, we're about to see as the teams get ready to play.
Well, folks, here it is, the final game of your bronze set here. It's not game 9, but it's awful close, and they've done it! They have done it! They have rotated all the way back to real compositions! I have never been so happy to see 4 Splash-O-Matics on my screen. Folks, we have a real game! They did the one thing that I thought they wouldn't do. Take a bow, players, take a bow!
They have not just real weapons, they have their real abilities, they've got their normal roles, they've got their normal gear, and we see Brand take out Thunder at the onset here, so fantastic job of coming back here as we return to Inkbot Art Academy, this time, of course, for Clam Blitz. Bagel going to be holding on to the lion's share of clams here as it's going to be them taking out Goss, looking for another. They're just going to content themselves with staying back with the Power Clam. As you mentioned, Nine, we're going to see no shortage of grabs here on such a small map. It's going to get crowded rather quickly.
It is, and Brand is going to have a really important role here of being the face-first move in and open things up for the team. They're going to try to use their crabs for sustainability rather than to strictly open things up. So far, being rewarded for that approach as Brand almost gets another one here. The members of Crush Soda diving down to try to close this down, and instead it's going to be all the way down to 52. Will finally go down, and it appears that Bagel is going to simply retreat back and try to take one player out. Is able to do so. A worthy trade here because I believe the other 3 members of Starburst are able to respawn, which means they'll have some defense on the stability. Ice actually goes forward and attacks. I didn't see Biscuit there as well. Very nicely done here. The type of attacks we're used to seeing from Starburst. They chase that crab off with relative ease, now taking down Kyo, and it is all Starburst thus far.
A start as splendid as the suspenders on Nine's chest here for Starburst as they get going in earnest, getting halfway through with a penalty to work with, but they've got multiple specials now to protect their Power Clam food thrown in. Now it's going to be Bagel trying to get a couple of picks. They're going to get their penalty all the way down to 1 Clam away. They will resolve it here. Bagel going to be attacking Kyo. They will get the resolve here. They're going to look for a second, but it was already cleaned up by their teammate, and now Bagel left with the moral dilemma of going back to hunt for clams or defending their teammate. They're going to opt to just retreat here as they lose a couple members, including Ice. Biscuit not going to jump to anyone. Brand still in the action for a substantial amount of time, perhaps even getting the trade there on that Splash-O-Matic. But now, in the meantime, Ice just staying back, building up another crab, getting as many clams as they can, and Kyo's going to get their revenge on behalf of their team, and now seeing if they can pull off a flank here with this upcoming Ultra Stand.
Yeah, ooh, a nice toss there. I don't blame Kyo for taking that there. That completely opens up the push if you hit it, and you're still in a solid position to juke around Biscuit here. As the other members get up, they finally do have a crab, but did they wait too long? They broke their barrier. The answer was yes. Ice snuck behind them that entire time, and one of the least Ice-like moves you will ever see. Ice playing the flanking role here. This is on the other side of the map, folks. They have completely swapped control. Now Kyo going to be waiting on that side, but the other members are certainly going to have respawned in time. Ice goes ahead, takes that one down. They actually put points on the board for that one, Zach. They didn't just do that, open it up, and then run away. They scored more points here, and with 2 power clams and 1 regular clam, they can take this now and take 3rd place.
Well, I think Starburst has long since thrown caution to the wind. They've thrown it away, as it were, and they've gotten sort of any strategies that they thought might be fun to try out in their playbook out, and are just using them, whether they've practiced them in scrimmages or not. Here as Bagel tries to directly 1v1 a crab. Usually not the play. You want to try and flank around it whenever possible. Bagel, for some reason, trying to throw a single clam into a protected barrier. That was an interesting move there. Maybe just trying to save it for a teammate or thinking it was open. But for now, not going to be able to get anything from it, and they will lose out on their sloshing machine. However, they find a pick there onto Kill with that Splatoon wiper. That's going to stop that momentum on the hammer from being built up. And 9 as we approach the final minute of play here. Crush Soda still without a push to their name here on InkTV.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Starburst that we are used to seeing. Jokes aside here, with the real comps and the real fights, they've done such a fantastic job of control, but Goss actually takes 3 players out single-handedly. That's how you break out of team-wide control. You just kick everybody on the other team out, so there's no control left to be had. If they can go ahead and get rid of Ice and Crab here, or at least slow it down, they should be able to get some of the other players up to hold on to it. And speaking of hold on, come on, Goss, I need you to hold on for 30 more seconds here, just so that we can get through with everybody there. Thunder is actually in a great spot. Kyo follows it up there as well. Wave and Biscuit fighting it out, but Biscuit does force the trade. It does look like that might have been the nail in the coffin. I don't think they're going to have another real good advantage in terms of player count. Just 15 seconds left. They're going to try to pivot over here to the left side, shuffling the power claim around. They have one last opportunity to open this up and a whole lot more work to do after that.
Yeah, that's a good early pick on a brand, but Kyo's going to go down to the crab there from Bagel. It's going to be the Booyah Bomb coming out to try and displace him in the final 2 seconds. 20 clams at the disposal here of Crush Soda as we kick down into overtime. Looking for a path forward here, but is shut down by the multitude of bombs. Biscuit going to go down as the crab gets popped there from Thunder, but they've lost 2 team members, and they go down themselves as Bagel bravely charges forward and gets that pick. Is looking for a second. Another 3-down situation, effectively a delayed wipe here. And Starburst helping to ensure that this one goes to set 3, game 3, overtime, but shuts down Crush Soda all the way through, does not allow them a push in the final Clam Blitz game here. And as a result, Starburst will save face a little bit here and take 3rd place in the InkTV playoffs.
Well, folks, those of you who had that prediction will get to claim your points here. The darkest timeline was only narrowly averted, but we do want to thank both of our teams for competing through this entire league format. There was a lot, of course, that went into it, a lot of commitments. I know Crush Soda has said that they stayed together only to continue and finish out this league, so a big thanks to that. We're going to go ahead and pass it back over to our analysts, who I would wager probably want to talk about anything but that set. So why don't you all just hype us up here for our next set, the one that we all came to see?